Welcome to the 11 p.m. Society, because midnight is just too late. Salutations, I'm Becca, this is Wars Another Malarkey, and we are still in Spooktober, which means I get to do all this and be weird and typical with all my October content. Today I am talking about recommendations for those of us who like it spooky but not scary, because if you're anything like me, you may enjoy the fall season and its Halloween vibes, but you are not keen on the horror genre as a whole. So we're gonna get spooky, but like not in a way that's gonna give you nightmares, because that's bad and we all need our beauty sleep. So first up, disclaimer, because I really don't have much of a range. Most of what I've read is gothic horror, so most of these recommendations are going to be gothic horror. So I'll try to be very brief in my descriptions and just kind of give you a brief overview of each of these and then move on to the next one so that you kind of have a place to start. And if you've read any of these, because most of these are old and a lot of people have read them, just tell me what you thought of them, because we can all enjoy our spooky tales together. So the first one is The Hound of the Baskervilles, the Sherlock Holmes novel by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, which I haven't... Oh man, I put it the wrong way. I messed it up. Video ruined, whole aesthetic. My book was facing the wrong way. Oh my god. Okay. You've got to be kidding me. Pocket version. My bad. I forgot we had a pocket version. As you can see, it's very short. Ooh, this one's illustrated. Oh, now that's nice. Sherlock Holmes in the Case of the Hound of the Baskervilles is creepy because it starts on a supernatural premise. Someone believes that their land is haunted by this demon dog that comes out at night and kills people. I think it starts with a murder. So it's very in vogue with the season, and it has a very creepy atmosphere. You're in the moors, English moors. It's like a very like boggy, foggy we're rhyming here. Everything about the story just speaks of the color gray. It's creepy. It's got a great spooky vibe. And of course he's all like, haha, there's no way it's a supernatural thing. There's no such thing as a supernatural, and you're just gonna have to read and find out whether it is or isn't. I mean, but it's a fun one. It's a really fun one. So now where am I supposed to put this? It's the eyesore. It's not. Well,
I didn't know you were going to cover my favorite Sherlock Holmes story.
Well, you're welcome. The next one that I would recommend for any fan of the gothic horror genre, the spooky, not scary, is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And I have a lovely edition of it here that I featured in the Books and Beers video. It's the Barnes & Noble classic. Look at that. Gorgeous. Frankenstein is a classic horror novel. Everybody knows it. If you've read it, awesome. I'm sure that you have thoughts. If you haven't read it, go read it. I had to read this in high school, and I was very excited to read it because it's a classic monster. And the thing is that, I mean, the media portrayal of Frankenstein is very, very different from what actually happens in this book. And it very much deals with some very haunting themes of like science versus nature, and what happens when you try to play God, and the nature of man. The premise starts pretty much the same. Victor Frankenstein is trying to unlock the secret of life, and he does that by robbing graves and piecing together a man made of dead body parts and then animating him through a technique that is actually never explicitly explained. You kind of have a feeling that it has something to do with electricity, perhaps even electric eels, and then some kind of like, I don't know, necromancy. So it's hard to say actually, but it very much blurs the line between science and magic. Definitely a fun one to not only talk about for hours on end in your AP English class, but also to talk about with your friends. Next one I would recommend that I've talked about several times already, because I can't not talk about this, and this is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This one's a novella, very short and very chilling, but also very much not going to give you nightmares. But there are some scenes that are quite disturbing actually. But again, it's the classic Jekyll and Hyde, and it raises a lot of interesting questions, and I talked about this in my books and beer video, so I don't think I'm gonna like repeat myself here. Next, of course, I would recommend anything by Edgar Allan Poe, the master of American Gothic horror. Yeah, these are all like late 1800s stuff, maybe early 1900s, but no, actually Frankenstein is like mid to late 1700s, I think. So like we're spanning some very ancient times over here, you know, the olden days. You probably know like The Raven or The Telltale Heart, but any of his stuff is really good. Actually, surprisingly, my favorite thing by Edgar Allan Poe is a poem called The Bells, and it's not necessarily like the same kind of eerie, haunting creepiness that something like Mask of the Red Death has, but this poem is like my favorite poem, and I can't even tell you why, except that it just has a great meter. I don't know, I'm trying to like go back to like high school English here and pull out my poetry terminology. It just sings to you. The whole poem sings to you. It actually reminds me a lot of like the opening Bells of Notre Dame song from Hunchback of Notre Dame. Bells, 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 bells. The next one that I would recommend is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. A short story, a great story, also a great movie, but two very different portrayals of a concept. The original story is very, very gothic horror, very eerie, very like slow, takes its time getting to the point, but you hear a lot through stories, so most of the like creepy stuff comes through the stories people are telling about, you know, this headless horseman character. And that's about it for what I've read, which is really, really sad, actually. I wish I had more modern things that I could recommend. I mean, most of what I've seen up to this point has been like movies and TV shows, so I can't really recommend anything. But like Stephen King stuff, I've only ever seen movies, not read in books, so I don't feel like I should recommend anything in particular. Though the new It movie that came out, and I haven't seen part 2 yet, but the first one at least, I thought was really good. We watched it last year, and I thought it was good. Like, I have no desire whatsoever to read It. So, like, the movie is good for me. Maybe I'll even watch the miniseries one day. That didn't scare me that much. Maybe because it's a clown, and it's almost borderline campy. I'm trying to think, like, what else? Like, geez, I've never read a good zombie book. Seriously, or really seen any good zombie content aside from iZombie. I have never watched Walking Dead. I have no desire to. World War Z was good. Warm Bodies too. Actually, my sister read Warm Bodies, the book, and said that the movie was better. So I believe her. I liked the movie. I feel like people had mixed reviews over the movie, but I liked it. I thought it was cute. It's Romeo and Juliet, but with a zombie. Now I'm just going through movie and monsters. Vampires I could recommend so much. Go watch Vampire's Assistant. The Cirque du Freak book to movie adaptation. It's like a Nickelodeon movie. It has John C. Reilly in it. Go watch it. It is a guilty pleasure. It has no business being as enjoyable as it is. Like, the lead actor is a piece of cardboard, but the movie itself, I have to watch it every year. It is a creepy classic for me. It's not creepy. It really isn't. It's a Halloween classic for me. It's just so corny and off the wall. It's like, I don't know, people that have to watch like Rocky Horror Picture Show every year. I have to watch, for better or for worse, Vampire's Assistant. And I've never read the books, but I know that they are books. Maybe one day I'll read them just for kicks, you know, once I've recovered from Kingdom Keepers. You gotta watch stuff like Corpse Bride and The Nightmare Before Christmas around this time of year. Corpse Bride, honestly, like, I love Nightmare Before Christmas aesthetically, but Corpse Bride's story and its aesthetic actually melts my butter more. I shouldn't say it like that. I like it more. It just has such a heartbreaking but beautiful story. Last year around this time I watched Invader Zim and I thought it was so appropriate. It is so dark. I mentioned in my my Sister the Serial Killer review that I am a big fan of dark humor, and Invader Zim just hit the right chord for me. It is not for the faint of heart, actually, because it can be just really just like a what the hell did I just watch kind of experience. I would say it's an acquired taste, and it has a cult following too, but I've jumped really late on the bandwagon, which is fine. One more thing, and then I will close out this recommendations video that has veered way off course in terms of being about books at all, and that is the SCP Foundation, which I have just jumped on the bandwagon of. Now, those that have been on the internet longer and for more time than me probably know about this, especially if you've been on Reddit, I guess, or 4chan. I don't know. It's a wiki. It is kind of a alternate reality type thing. So the SCP Foundation is a fictional collection of like urban legends and tales. It's all on this wiki site, but they spin it like it's a real thing, kind of a Men in Black situation. Like they're all basically mini horror stories, and they've all been collected and apparently contained within this foundation. It's so fun. There's a lot of YouTube videos covering the various SCPs. You can check out the whole wiki page if you wanted to. I've just gotten into it. I'm sure the rabbit hole goes so deep. I'm sure I'm a novice. I'm sure all these things, but they don't scare me. They're creepy, they're eerie, they're sometimes really weird. There are actual short stories on the wiki, or you can like watch YouTube videos that just go over like the case files. I don't know. I just find it really fun. It's super fascinating to me. That, I think, is all that I have. That's all that I have to say. I wish that there was more. Maybe this time next year I'll do another video where I will have more like creepy but not scary tales to share, maybe some more modern ones. But I hope that kind of gets you started. If you've ever like wondered about these gothic horror type titles, yes, go read them. They're awesome if you like that kind of thing. Everything else that I recommended, I mean, I just went off on a bunch of different things. Let's all get mildly creeped out together. So until next time, keep it spooky, and I will see you in the next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you like to get spooked but not scared.